What number I put in the title? That might have to be switched later. It's time for another Trustless Degens episode. What's up, folks? This is the podcast where we talk about all things insert crypto buzzword here. And just market in general. We're a bunch of dudes that are interested in cryptocurrency, Web3, NFTs, all that good stuff, just financial literacy. And thought that it'd be fun if we made a podcast where we could come together once a week and talk about those things to somebody that wouldn't side eye and roll eye and would actually understand some of the stuff we're talking about. Because it's a tough thing to find, honestly. You're looking for somebody to even bounce these ideas off of. So this is that time. Hey, I got my other host with me. To my immediate right, if you're just staring right on stream, we have Rex Satoshi. We have Mr. Eric Wilson and Bit Fiend. The far right side of the screen. Just like the ominous stare. Everybody else is like,
how's it going?
But yeah. So we're gonna jump right into topics this week, fellas. If that's okay, because we've been kind of chatting it up a little bit behind the scenes, anyways. I thought I'd start us off pretty lighthearted this week, and check out this article about the Dogecoin rally. Yeah, I guess there was I didn't really see it rally like that.
I did see it, actually.
You did see the rally? Yeah.
I noticed it.
I saw people talking about it. I didn't really even check it. Like, even when people were talking about it, it didn't register with me. Like, you know what? Go check that Dogecoin. And I'm farming it on Doge Chain and stuff, but I was just like so away. But yeah, and I did not put together that why would Doge coin be pumping? Oh, that's right, the Elon Musk news.
I was just going to ask that. Was that correlated?
Yeah, I guess that was the correlation.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't actually look because when I looked and saw it going up, I'm like, okay, Elon Musk did something.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny that you thought that way. It took me until I was today years old when I realized, the Elon Musk. Oh yeah. I felt really slow about putting that together. Like, oh, of course, the connection. Other than the fact that happened, I think a cool takeaway was actually in the thread of that main tweet around this. Elon Musk, always tweets about the things that happen. So other than this deal where he's like, oh yeah, I'll actually take Twitter at the initial agreed upon amount. So other than that, there was a secondary tweet underneath there that said that acquiring Twitter would help them become one step closer in the process of creating Platform X. I think he called it Platform X, which was he said a new everything social media a platform, or an everything platform, and so everything on one place, if that's what he's actually going for.
I'd say we definitely need the next evolution of social media. We need it desperately. We need the next iteration.
I think other than because I know Eric Wilson would be like Hive. Obviously, we need to respect the ones out there. But I think other than Hive, obviously, in my opinion, because that's just a successful one. That I'm like, man, will it ever get its true shine? But even if it doesn't, it's fine. Lens. The Lens protocol, I think, has been making some waves, and they've been slow to roll it out to more people. But I don't know if you guys noticed, if you're big Twitter people and you see the .lens names, their type of ENS thing. But that's an interesting one where they have a very similar to on Hive. Hive has DTube was the first one, and now there's 3Speak. Those are the ones, and so Lens has the ability for people to make protocols and stuff like that off of them. And this is coming from the team behind Aave. So it's a team that's very recognized in the crypto space.
I mean, obviously I'm a Hive maxi, but I also realize that, you the less tribalistic you are, the more open you are to something being better. And everybody's going to try to put their own flair on everything. And that's why I love crypto. The best one's going to rise to the top. Or gain the most attention, or gain the biggest community, whatever we're at in blockchain, it's not in its final form. So,
and there will be multiple. There'll be multiple. We got to consider
just
what exists in Web 2. Yeah, exactly. There's Twitter, there's TikTok, there's Instagram. People have their opinions about which ones are better. Some people are just like, I only open Facebook. There's all sorts of different social medias for it. And some people like, no, does Tumblr still exist? I don't think so. Maybe some dark corner of the internet. But that was an interesting one. So I thought that was good to get our feet wet. I have one more NFT topic that I can see in my immediate roll of topics, which was about NFT haters. And I'll preface this a little bit. I'm not sure if you guys saw, like earlier this week, I sent out a tweet around. It was the same day that Gary Vee had VeeFriends launch, and I saw some NFT hate pop up on Twitter and stuff like that. I imagine it was correlating with the two, and they're like, oh, this thing happened, Toys R Us, why? Because he's got that Toys R Us deal. And so I asked the question, what's curious, it's 2022. What exactly is it after the merge, especially because a lot of people lost their argument after. Like, there's still people that are like, oh, copy art or something like that. Like, it's honestly, you never had it easier to get your actual original art removed from the internet, like in some fashion. Like, yeah, you go and tell that person not only that, but you affected their entire account, and that don't really happen on normal Web3. Like, honestly, I look at my folders and I'm like, it's a bunch of right-clicked images that ain't nobody getting no rights on. So yeah. Just thought that was interesting. And I want to preface that as we lead into this article here by Time, About Time magazine. And it was just a Time president on NFT haters. I don't understand the politicizing of technology. I feel like that was, their president and I have very, very similar opinions on this then. Because I feel like it's more of like a political thing, or like people, I don't know, they have like certain vendettas, but a lot of the argument against it just doesn't really, I don't know, it'd be like we're coming off the VHS age and you're like, DVDs are so bad because, and they're like, oh, well, they fixed the environmental. Well, I still don't like DVDs because now you have to get a new player for the DVD. And there were literally people like that for a long time. Like, I'm not going to buy no DVDs. Mm-hmm. They got forced over to DVDs eventually. So, I don't know. I just see something similar out playing out here. But if you guys aren't aware, Time launched an NFT earlier this year. I believe they made, this article states, somewhere around like an excess of like $10 million in revenue from their NFT sales this year. And I'm like, I don't know if that's really large for a company like Time, but like, I don't know, for most companies have like $10 million of extra revenue.
Have you ever noticed any other industries to where they're super popular on a different platform, and then they like post on Twitter and they get like 3 likes? You know what I mean? It's just like, their popularity's over here. Nobody cares about them over here. I kind of feel like that in a little bit of in that regard, as people are buying into the added legitimacy of it, but it's not like super hyped from an organic standpoint, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's just but it's good. It's all good news. No, I don't think it's a lot of money for what it is, but we've definitely seen larger mints, right? Than that.
See, but I do think it's it's just Time not being, for such a big publication, it's them not being afraid to step into the dog-ish and and go with what they believe in, because the other president was also quoted as saying that I'm a big nerd, I like technology, and so I'm gonna actually try out the technology, and they had success. It's not like they had a loss, like it was like a net loss of however much money. That's another thing to consider. Most companies in their first year do they make money right away? I feel like a lot of them take a loss for a while, and this was just a net positive. So yeah,
I mean, as far as NFT hate, we can talk about that forever. It's kind of funny, just as far as we've definitely come to a point where it's almost like people have a list of flashcards, and then we're just like Kardashians, video gaming, streaming, CNN, Trump, you know what I mean? And then you're just like, if you're like, you know what I mean? You're just 2-second, like, one word response. And I feel that's we're definitely hypersensitive to everything. And if we don't like something even just a little bit, we're allowed to give that megaphone. It's like, and definitely NFTs have been divisive more so than just crypto. I think it's easy to look at NFTs and point out some rug pulls and some unbelievable mints.
I'm like, is it
Of,
easier? Is it
you
easier though?
know,
I feel like you can go
uh,
to like I like to use Nomics for like viewing stuff, and like you could do the same thing with CoinGecko, but I feel like CoinGecko is a little bit more stringent. But I'm like, you can go to Nomics right now. There's gonna be like 100 new tokens that listed today. There's gonna be like
mhm.
50% of them are gonna be rug pulls. The
Yeah,
other ones are just holding liquidity for however long. I'm like, and you can't really,
90%.
yeah, you can't really do that in the NFT space right now. Like people wised up that much quicker in the NFT space, and they're just like, like what I'm gonna do with this illiquid like asset. They'll still mint NFTs for certain community based projects. I feel like they're starting to push into what they should be, unless they have some type of actual technology plan behind the NFT and how it, what it's being used for. And that could be a receipt for grocery stores, a ticket to a basketball game, or something higher level like a deed or a high school diploma, or whatever it is. But they haven't had that or access to a game or a level of a game. But they just haven't. There haven't been enough of them for the mainstream to like kind of see those uses, and for quite frankly, like a lot of people that jumped into NFTs to see those type of uses. A lot of people jumped in like, is a money making opportunity. I'm going to watch whatever YouTuber or something like that, whatever they say. That's what I'm going to jump toward. This is what I'm watching. I'm not actually like, a lot of people don't know how to do their own research like that, like to a deep degree. Like you point them at an Explorer and they're like, what? Like it's like, yeah, you could have found that information that YouTuber found from the Explorer if you want to put your time in, or any other aggregator. Um, but but yeah, I feel like that's kind of like the crossroads where it's just hopefully that didn't sound too like doom and gloom. I feel like people are that much more educated in NFTs at this point, and yeah, it was because there were so many rug pulls. But and sorry to take your thunder too. I feel like I took your thunder for a little bit there, Eric. But
No,
yeah, I
no,
just feel like
no.
there's so many there's so many bad opportunities in crypto in general that like. And in any market, it's not just crypto. It's in any market or any corner of the world. Like you can't you
The
can
rug
go
pulls just happen
yeah
a little quicker in
yeah
crypto.
walk around New York looking like you're drunk in the middle of the day, and like your shield is just completely down, or most cities, and like you're not gonna get like
Vultures.
like if they don't
Oh
mug
yeah.
you like physically, then you're just a prime target to just get pickpocketed or something because you just look vulnerable. You don't understand the environment that you're in, but you're there. And so you're an open target. And I'm like, that exact same thing exists on the internet. Like like
That's a
like
very good
like
point.
people didn't download malware before. Like you were an open target and you learned.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, people wouldn't give. People don't just hand out their bank account numbers. So I don't understand why they hand out their wallets or their seed phrases.
because
And like when I
they don't
first got
understand what's going on.
when I first got into cryptos, it was actually common practice that every single time you were going to give someone a wallet to send cryptos to, you created a new one. The only issue was that when you got small amounts of cryptos, it screwed you in the long run because then you had a bunch of small bits in different wallets, even if it was all in the same wallet software, where the like I don't know if you guys know how cryptos work, and like you can have a whole like in terms of like transfers, you can have one whole Bitcoin, and then when you send if someone sends me half of a Bitcoin and someone else sends me another half, I don't have a whole Bitcoin in my wallet. I have half of a Bitcoin and half of a Bitcoin. It's like two gold bricks. And so the network smelts them together into one whole Bitcoin. And so when you have to perform the smelting process, it actually costs more. So think about like a wallet full of microtransactions of little bits, little bits, little bits over the course of many years. It was going to cost at the time that I tried to move it more than what I had in order to smelt all those bits together into one bar. So I guess that's probably why it's no longer common practice. But I thought it was pretty interesting when I learned, because it's like, why can't I move this? Why is it so expensive?
Yeah.
And I just researched it, and it was like, oh my god, it is internet gold. It works the same way. Like I can't just hand Eric 1 ounce of silver. If I only need to give them half an ounce, I need to be able to cut it in half. And so that's kind of how cryptos work, the network at least. It's pretty cool.
You know, there's so much to dive into as far as like crypto and different blockchains and how they all. It's I've recently started to try to dive more into the Ethereum white paper when I have time. Just like, oh, you know what? Let me, especially since the merge, where I'm like, there's that much more information to actually digest and understand things.
Yeah.
And yeah, same thing with Bitcoin. Most people like go in there and like actually read the white paper for a little while and tell me you don't walk away with something like, oh, I didn't know that. Probably going to learn something more technical that you actually just didn't know about this technology, because it's just not common tongue for people to talk about those type of things all the time. But propelling us forward and taking a little break from the NFT track of things, there are a few other fun NFT things that I feel like happened this week that I want to mention. And maybe that's just something to say about the technology. Like in general, it's a pretty vast technology where I'm like, you're hating on NFTs. Like I think I was talking to somebody about this on Twitter. I'm like, it's like hating I'm like, I feel like you more so don't like the projects that you've seen around NFTs more so than NFTs the technology. Like, who hates the conduit of like do you really hate vehicles, or do you hate riding a bike or something like that? Like, no, you like transportation. Like you don't like the way that the transportation is being brought to you, the project doing that specific transportation. But this kind of coincides.
To me, it seems like it's not the NFTs that's the issue. It's like the people who are involved with NFTs are what's weird to me. Like, and I'm not saying like everyday regular people, but a lot of the NFT influencers, and a lot of people who are you can tell they're just pushing a whole bunch of different NFTs that they don't even believe in, and a whole bunch of people who are just talking about NFTs that are, NFTs are pretty silly, in their current form, which is like PFPs and stuff. But this is just like the base layer, like what email was in the 90s. It's like, we gotta figure out a way to use it differently. But a lot of the people in different NFT communities, a lot of them are toxic people. A lot of them are going at it on Twitter, and a lot of them are like, it's not a very, like, a lot of us on the ground try to make it seem like it's this inclusive thing, which it is for us, but for the people who are like the megaphones for crypto, it's like they have their list that it's okay for you to have, and their list that it's not okay for you to have. And then regular people come and they see that, and it's just a whole bunch of more tribalism, just like different tokens and stuff. So to me, it's just gonna be, we need an NFT that is that kind of gives everyone a reason to have it, or to have to learn about it. Right now we just have a bunch of random things going on.
Yeah, and that type of take on it, you're gonna have to make me stop. I'm gonna have to segue a little bit. Oh, go ahead, Bitfin.
I think that it's the NFT world, or at least the idea, is still in a very infant stage, and it's more of a social experiment right now, because we don't know if it's gonna work or not. Personally, like, technically we don't know if it's gonna work. Now the thing is that the social experiment has turned into many different social experiments. It's really what I call it, because it requires a community and being social, and like how everybody works together in order for this to actually work the way people want it to. Now in terms of like NFT gaming, or like NFTs in gaming, like Splinterlands, or even big time when it comes to the cosmetic NFTs, there's definitely something there that's pretty much going to be around forever, I believe. Obviously, I don't think NFTs are going anywhere. This social experiment is going to win. It's going to succeed, and that's just simply because there's so many different innovative minds trying every little thing that what if NFTs can be in games, or what if NFTs can be your PFP, or what if NFTs can be the deed to your house, which has already begun with property real estate. Concert tickets, bus tickets. I already know that specifically concert tickets and bus tickets and like temporary paper stubs that we're used to receiving in life, that could be right off the bat huge for the environment. If everybody was using bus passes, tickets, concert tickets, and anything that requires a paper stub or a receipt through the blockchain as an NFT,
It'd be way more efficient as well.
Not only would it be more efficient, but think about how easy it would be for you to go on the blockchain and look up all your receipts, because the store, after the transaction, the store automatically sent the receipt like as some kind of signature or something like that. How much paper
awesome.
are we saving? So like when people are saying that like cryptocurrencies are bad for the environment, most of us already see the future. And like that's a big one for me, where anything that requires the printing of paper can actually function as an NFT. And now people are saying, I'm sure people will be like, well, what if somebody hacks your wallet and then now suddenly they take all your receipts? Well, Vitalik Buterin already kind of put a solution to that, which is soul-bound NFTs. I don't need my receipts to leave my wallet. You know what I mean? I would never need that to leave my wallet. So for the most part, especially if it's burnable for the most part, as soon as you use it, then, I guess you could still be able to sell concert tickets. I don't know if that's, what's the word?
Scalping them? Like scalping?
Scalping, yeah. So I don't know if like that could solve or make scalping worse, because somebody can just buy a bunch of ticket NFTs and then sell them. But that's kind of the decentralized world as it is. So
yeah, it makes for an interesting situation. And like, I want to take you kind of like but mentioning like the potential for scalping the NFTs there. And this is just another NFT use case, really, that I wanted to bring up, because you kind of touched on this is how NFTs are used and the receipts thing, and that's a prime example of what I always go to whenever I'm trying to explain NFTs to people. I'm like imagine receipts, tickets, like it's super simple, like
yeah.
And it's it's like if you can imagine that and what their utility is, like same thing for an NFT. It's really proving your ownership of something. You don't have the receipt, then you don't own it. Like I don't know whose this is. Yeah, you're just trying to turn somebody else's stuff back in. Like, get out of here. Or that didn't come from this store.
Think about like you buy something and you lose the receipt, so you can't even return it or something. Versus if it was automatically sent back after a transaction, you're never going to lose the receipt again. Yeah. Especially important receipts. I don't know, like my boss's warehouse burnt down, and I think it was in early January, and a lot of paperwork went missing. Important, like not like in terms of like business paperwork. It's not too important. It's just paperwork that you can't replace, or even business paperwork. Certain receipts for items that they purchased that may have been in the fire that now they can't even prove they had it.
Yeah, that's why I think documentation is like a huge thing for NFTs. Like a lot of people get stuck on the fact that it's holding this image. This people really get stuck on the image portion of things. Yeah, it's like, and it's really it's about the proof of ownership, and it's about the fact that the documentation. And like in some cases of NFTs, there's more dynamic NFTs where you can switch the image around, or you can switch the metadata around, depending on the type. Or Biffy also mentioned soulbound ones where maybe it could still be dynamic and just bound to your account. But in these cases, it's information that's stored on chain in some sense, like a decentralized version of the cloud, which is I think it was Chainlink earlier this week that was talking about wanting to compete with Amazon Web Services. So I thought that was really interesting. But before we keep going, I wanted to just show this other utility for NFTs really quickly. This is called Chicken Bonds. For those that are not familiar, this is from Liquidity. So the Liquidity protocol. I've never heard of Liquidity Smurf. What the hell is Liquidity anyway? Some stupid protocol. I'm pretty sure it's in like the top 50 of like all cryptocurrency protocols, honestly. So in terms of like TVL locked. So this is an Ethereum borrowing and lending marketplace where you do single asset staking. And you can borrow against that, and you get their stable coin LUSD, so it's over collateralized in that sense, and that's what Liquidity does. And then you can earn an APY of, I think it was somewhere around close to 30% for holding their stable coin last year, if you stake that and for their protocol. So and they're earning that APY from liquidations that happen from within their protocol as well. So that's Liquidity. Anyways, recently they launched this thing called Chicken Bonds. And Chicken Bonds are using NFTs. And let me see if I can find, like, I'm sure if I go to the actual, like, where do they mention the name right here? Go to the actual Chicken Bonds one. Maybe they have some images here. So yeah, they're using NFTs in this way that they're like bonds, and so they'll have different value amounts attached to the NFTs. And this is, I'm also working for a protocol that's doing something like similar, I'll say, with NFTs, where value is being given to these NFTs as somewhat of a receipt. And then the NFT itself is, attached to some type of, again, value or mechanism. So in the case of the project I'm working for, like, you get an NFT and it's basically accruing interest the entire time. And it's leveraged interest on stable coins. So you're earning like a nice APY on depositing stable coins. In this case, you're getting like a premium from bonds of like whatever amount. And so the nice thing about these new NFTs is like they're yield generating, and they have some type of, it just like there's starting to take away that question of like, oh, well, what's the value of this NFT or something like that. Like in some of these cases with these ones that are actually using financial technologies, really wrapping DeFi around things and making things easier for people to get into, specifically with the one that I'm working for. Then the question of like what's the value behind this NFT is a little bit eroded. Like you could put more value on top of it because you like the artwork, or maybe it's involved in more games. Maybe other games decided they'll use that NFT or something like that. But in general, if it has a set amount of, and this isn't like the only picture they have of these, there were some other people that shared some examples where there's like actual dollar amounts. There are actual amounts there. $10,000, $2,000, $329. It's very obvious to see how much that NFT might be worth. And then again, that's not to say that, the person can always unwind these positions in that sense and stop them from generating their yield or whatever they do, that financial background of the NFT. But if they're not, that's not to stop other platforms from utilizing them again in games, or in last week we covered NFT lending, where somebody borrowed against their NFT for millions of dollars. You could still do that, like especially if it's an NFT that has a value behind it. Then you'd probably be able to, somebody's probably going to allow these type of sets of NFTs to also be used as collateral. So then all of a sudden you just kind of increase the potential of like, you're increasing your risk, but it's just creating that much more utility behind NFTs in a way that I feel like a lot of people aren't really considering, because it's like, there's so many different things to think about and so many different possibilities. It really is up to your creativity with this technology. But yeah, wanted to share that one. Thought that was pretty cool. Again, and
yeah, super interesting.
Yeah, working for something that protocol that's doing something really similar. And I just had like an epiphany for that our protocol. It's called Archimedes. Where they're like, and I imagine the same thing for these Chicken Bonds one. If you're DeFi savvy, crypto savvy, then you can mint the NFT, basically. Same thing with NFTs. You mint the NFTs, you know how to go behind the scenes, but in these DeFi situations, you probably have to stake some, pair up some liquidity, put it somewhere, do something, or borrowing, lending on a platform. You have to do something a little bit extra that most NFT traders, quite honestly, aren't used to. However, after you've done that and you get this receipt for this yield-bearing NFT, this NFT that has whatever percentage of APY that's going to come to it for probably, it's probably dealing with stable coins, so it's got less risk associated. It's just going to be earning some nice APY. You can then take that and just put it on an NFT marketplace for a slight premium. Like, if it's going to make 20% this year, what's to stop you from basically creating your own type of business funnel type thing where you go ahead and mint these NFTs, you put it on the marketplace, mark it up 2%, somebody buys it, cool, process done. Go back and get another one for the exact same price. But you're just making it easy for the person that doesn't really understand DeFi and stuff like that to actually partake in DeFi. Because either way, this thing is going to be generating a yield because that's what it's made to do. But they don't know how to set that up.
It's going to be like 100% markup for their convenience. That's the convenience fee in knowing how. Because I've already seen it happen where somebody will... I can mint an NFT right now for like $30-$40 and sell it for $200 because I know the market for that game is there. And if people can't mint it or don't have enough to mint it, then they're going to buy it.
Yeah. And this is just, I think that was great what you worded that. Like, it already exists in NFTs with just minting in general. Like, right, we see that on markets in general. You mint it early, you get that premium opportunity. I feel like
it actually happens a lot with Decentraland wearables, where people buy them up in hordes and then try to relist them for more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like, that whole thing of it's like just saying that, like, and getting that epiphany earlier, you saying that, just thinking about it, I'm like, that's totally going to be, because it's easy. Again, it's easier for the end user. That's that total new. That's going to be like the 2023 side hustle crypto thing.
It's kind of funny because I was trying to tell someone this earlier about like why no one works, or nobody wants to work anymore. But I don't remember what happened when we got busy with work, so I never got to finish my thought. But the reason, it's not that nobody wants to work. It's that people have found other ways to make money. And I know personally 3-4 people that are making a living in the metaverse and Web3, and they've created their own business behind it, where they literally were able to quit their day jobs. And when you have even 10 people, 20 people, 100 people in the workforce as a whole just quit all on the same day to go do something else, that like to make their own hustle, it's kind of devastating to the workforce. I mean, I've seen it happen, even with all the amount of people that became millionaires with this last crypto run, and they took their profits. There's a shortage of staff. It's not really the pandemic, that's over with. That's been done. It's people found other ways to make money, and people discovered the metaverse and doing events and making money with those events in the metaverse. And it ain't just Decentraland, because I see it happening in AltSpace VR as well, and as well as spatial. So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting to me.
There's definitely some instances where and I just immediately come to mind of my situation to where I'm a tiler. I do tile for somebody. Arguably, I may not be getting market rate for my skill, and then somebody gets a hold of me and says, "Hey, I want to pay you for your skill. I will give you X amount of dollars," which is more than the other one. And then that's where you're like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go do that." And you tell the other guy, "Hey, that's what I'm gonna do." He's like, "Oh, well, I can pay you more." Oh, now you can pay me more. There's never, you know what I mean? It's not until they're forced, and there's definitely adjustments that people need to make. At the end of the day, people are doing the math, and they're saying, "This isn't working out. I got to figure something else out." And they get a side hustle, or they, we're all different. We all do different things, and we figure it out as individuals. We figure it out, and there's definitely going to be the strain and stress of a person who needs somebody 40 hours a week, and now this person doesn't need 40 hours of your work of your labor offered to them anymore. So things, absolutely. To your point,
yeah. All right. I want to navigate this onto our next portion of our conversation tonight, which was back to something we covered last week. Have we covered this more than 1 week now? It might have been more than 1 week. We're kind of following this story if you're with us week to week. And that is Swift. More news on Swift's banking system. I know it's Rex Satoshi's favorite topic. He's like, Swift banking. Oh man, hit me with it. But yeah, Swift banking. There's two things actually to cover. One of these is like within the last 24 hours, and the other one was a little early this week, so you might have seen that. I shared it in our Trustless Sources in our Discord. And if you want some of the stuff that we put in Trustless Sources, you can join the Money Match Gaming Discord and select crypto and NFTs. We'll also just leave crypto links. But this first bit of information was about Swift partners with a token. So they partnered with a token on the blockchain. Did anybody hear anything about this news? That any of you guys know who Swift banking partnered with, token wise?
I heard
Wasn't
about
it
a couple weeks
Polygon?
ago.
Not Polygon. That might have been, maybe that was something with Polygon for like the first, the stuff we covered last week. Maybe.
Oh, I did.
I think that was because I think maybe that was last week's stuff. But sorry, were you saying Rec?
I heard
you
it.
have it?
I think I heard about it a week ago or something. That
No browser. If you're looking at a browser right now, I don't want to hear tokens.
No, I mean I've been watching this Trustless Source channel on Discord, but in my other group they always send like little like tweets and shit. And I think it was on the tweet that they were doing something with Chainlink, but it wasn't like I didn't think it was real. Like it wasn't.
That's
like
it.
They
Nope.
actually came out with it yet.
Nah, you got it on the head. They got a partnership with Chainlink. And a partnership with Chainlink can mean many things. It could just mean Chainlink's working with them to make sure that everything that they're doing is integrated in a proper fashion. But that does mean that they were like taking that step that we were talking about previously into just CBDCs. That much, it was like, okay, well, like, whoa, they're supposed to be experimenting with CBDCs. Well, then it was only like a day or two after our podcast last week that this partnership was announced, and it was like, actually, they got a partnership with Chainlink. And what was Chainlink do? Chainlink is a price feed oracle for on-chain and off-chain. And so now they can get the prices of all these different currencies or whatever they want to move on-chain from the most liquid source of money in the world that's doing that. So it's like, oh, it's kind of a big deal. That happened, and then the most recent thing was within the last 24 hours or so. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not really shocked at this news, honestly, when I hear it, because I'm like, yeah, isn't that kind of the point?
I mean, it's just like that. Like everyone in crypto is working with Chainlink. Or is making a partnership with Chainlink because you need an oracle to look at the data on the blockchain in real time.
Yeah.
So, it's not really surprising that they're using Chainlink, but it is surprising that they're partnering with a token that's not XRP to me.
Well, like,
and I think that Chainlink needs to have some type of crazy revenge pump.
Like, will. It's got so much utility.
When Chainlink pumps, we'll know the bull market is back.
Yeah, Chainlink. It'll be funny if Chainlink leads the charge. The second bit of like a real like I'm not surprised really though was because like I'm not surprised like you need Chainlink because that's if you're into crypto you can imagine that scenario, right? But the second thing was that I was just not surprised that they started messing with blockchain technology. Again, I was saying this on the show that I was like, yeah, obviously we just become that much more efficient for what you're doing. You're doing a world banking system in an inefficient way that was created almost 100 years ago. Or maybe it was 100 years. It's a long time now. It's not. There's no way you're still like. Actually, Swift might not be as old as 100 years. I might have to check in this.
It's old. It's extremely outdated.
Yeah, but it's just not as efficient. And so their thing was like, oh, we had a breakthrough. We used blockchain technology and we had a breakthrough, and it looks like this is actually going to work. That was their takeaway.
That's fucking. That is. Excuse my French, but
It's not funny.
Hello.
It's like, what do you mean?
We've been telling
like it's actually
you for
gonna
years.
work.
We've been telling you for years. It's like,
but look, they didn't need it to work until just recently. Like now, they're shitting the bed because their whole system is starting to lock up.
Yeah.
And they're looking for ways to fix shit now, and it's like, oh yeah, here's this blockchain stuff we can try. Actually, this stuff actually kind of works. Well,
yeah, it works. Wait, we can use this the way that they've been talking about that we've been saying is not possible for all these years.
It's wild, man.
And in fact, the ridiculousness of this is it says around 90% of the world's central banks are now exploring CBDCs And
They're gonna
Swift
eat
just
their
oh
words.
look at this, like it works.
They're gonna eat their words, and I knew they would.
These the the the
Scum, as we
CBDC
call them.
discussion
Scum.
is so stressful to me.
Yeah, it's stressful. Like just that happening finally, or
Well, just because it's just like it's gonna be it's just like it's like so okay, so imagine if uh you got a decent pair of shoes on Christmas, and then later on you go to your mom's house and you get another decent pair of shoes for Christmas, the same pair of shoes that you got from your dad. Like the CBDC is just it's just $1. It's the same thing. We already have digital dollars. There, we have Cash App and Venmo, PayPal, and
they're
all
gonna have
these
to
You know
battle
what?
it out
We
with
also
Circle.
have Tether and Diecoin.
Yeah, C.
We
I
have
was like
USDC.
USDC. I'm like they're gonna have to battle it out
We-
USDC. I forgot. I don't know
we
what it was.
already have
USDC
that
has some
shit.
news.
We have
And
BUSD.
when they bring out the CBDC, it's automatically gonna be the worst one. Like,
Oh
so,
yeah.
okay, you're gonna back your dollars with dollars. Okay, cool. You're gonna have to
It's just
you're
another
gonna have
shift coin.
you're gonna have to print that. You're gonna have to show us where that shit is. You're gonna have to print more money. And then that's the other thing. Like, to me, I don't see how making a CBDC does not cause inflation, because I'm like, you're putting more supply of the dollar on the
Yeah, what
blockchain
about
to me.
all the people that want
And
their
I'm
cash?
like, and so there were some senators that actually released that are trying to pass a bill that says that when the Fed makes a CBDC, that they can't tell people they can't still use physical dollars. And that's a real concern, because in the UK or in the EU, they just made people turn in or basically cash out their some of their large bills that they have over there.
Yeah.
So imagine having to take your $50 bill and your $20 bill into the post office or the bank to get it switched for a different note. That's kind of what some things that are going on over there across the pond.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's just like reminiscent of like the whole like we've seen it before in history where there's been times where they call in like most recently in United States history. I can remember like them calling in certain quarters and stuff like that, them pulling those quarters back out of circulation, or previously to that turn in your gold, on some real stingy type ish.
All I
but,
know
like,
is if the government's asking you for it, you probably want to hold on to it.
yeah, might be
you know.
valuable. It might be valuable.
Oh,
It
yeah,
might be in your
for
best
sure.
interest to hold on to it. I'm what really bothers me is the whole perversion of the digital dollar being conflated with being on a blockchain, man. That whole like, that's really bothered me. But what are we gonna do about it? It's in people's minds, it's one and the same, and it's gonna be one and the same, and it's definitely gonna be validated to people that it just works the same way. Yeah, no big deal. There's no difference. There's definitely it's in government's best interest to conflate the two, for sure.
I've been hearing that that like some people who've been speculating about is that they'll use it to like they'll tell people it's like what's the word sorry, the guy Andrew Yang, he wanted to do like a universal basic income. Like, they'll try to like give us a universal basic income, but it'll be like in the form of a CBDC, and they'll be able to
That's the way that
control-
they're gonna do it.
they'll be able to control how much you get and what you can spend it on, essentially. Or they might have different versions of it. Like, to me like food stamps is like a cryptocurrency almost. Like, you get these food stamps on a card, and
There's a certain emission.
you use them at the store, and you can look up online your balance and stuff like that. So it's just like we already have that, and it's just like it's not gonna fix anything. But I think it's interesting that they're finally starting to capitulate.
I have to add that like in terms of not fixing anything, I've had more than one person who has money tell me that they're expecting a full collapse in 30 days. And I'm just like, I don't know how that could even happen in 30 days from where we are right
Let's
now.
go through it.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Let's check the tape out.
It leads on to some of my next topics. I feel like I'm just gonna bring these articles up and I'll keep letting you roll with it a little bit.
Hey man, you need to keep
That's
herding
awesome.
these damn cats, Smirk.
Yeah,
No
get these
sweat.
cats in the
Let's go.
Kraken.
Let's go. Move them on
So
up.
we're gonna bring up two articles at one time, and they kind of coincide with each other because this is a whole economic thing. And I'll say before I go into these two articles, I feel like we could have seen this earlier. You know, you could have seen this with Turkey, but who cares about Turkey, right? Like who cares about the lira?
D-Live does.
Well, yeah,
I like Turkey.
D-Live cares about. I like Turkey too, but we saw that there.
Bravo, open chest.
And then we saw
D-Live,
issues.
oh
we
my
saw
God.
issues, cracks starting to form in China with the bank thing that happened in China a month and a half ago or so. There was rolling tanks out in front of banks, not allowing people to pull their money out of banks because China felt something. And again, similar to what happened with COVID. And I'm just like going off of like what I've seen here in news. So again, it is Trustless Degens, but similar to what happened with COVID, right? Like China reacted in a certain way that made them have a specific type of outcome that everybody else did not necessarily have, even though it was a drastic, dire situation all around for the entire world. China, because they are communist, was able to fashion things in a very specific way because they can go, no, you have to do this. And in this situation, it was, we rolling the tanks out, literally. But now let's jump into this article. This was actually shared in Trustless Degens by Rex Satoshi. And you can find tons of stuff about this, but last week we covered all the prices of tokens, or not tokens, fiat currencies around the world tanking against the United States dollar as the DXY hit over 114%. This week we had pension fund panic led to the Bank of England's emergency intervention. Here's what you need to know. Basically, they've been like choosing to buy up bonds, and like there's been this whole thing where we're talking about tightening recently, and the Federal Reserve, obviously our Federal Reserve is tightening. The United States, which is the world reserve currency, been tightening funds, pulling things back, which makes things more expensive for the entire global community, since they have to pay us back these loans in United States dollars. Well, if you have to pay us back large sums of loans and everything funnels to the United States dollar anyways, you're doing well while everybody else is kind of suffering, because you have the most of that money in circulation. Even if you have less of it, you have more of it in circulation for your body. And so that's kind of happening on a larger scale. If you want to do some reading on this, it's called, I saw a lovely write-up on this stuff called the US dollar milkshake theory. That was fun. And I touched into a little bit like last week, so if you want to check that out. But yeah, we have this Bank of England situation.
Check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. But yeah, we had this Bank of England situation. I'll try to pull up. In between letting you guys speak about this, so I don't want to go too long. But yeah, basically the Bank of England had to pull some rough cards out. Going back to this article so you guys can see it and not just hear my words on this, so we can read it right off the page. The Bank of England launched a historic intervention to stabilize the UK economy. Historic intervention to stabilize the United Kingdom economy, announcing a 2-week purchase program for long-dated bonds and delaying its planned gilts sales until the end of October. So reversing
Printer go
direction.
burr.
Yeah, printer go burr instead of printer tightening. Printer decide that, tightening too much, we can't actually survive this. And it's crazy that they're actually just coming out and admitting this stuff, basically. And so, and not to poke fun at, people suffer from these type of things, right? But this is the stuff that you want to know in the market, the things that are happening in the market that you want to know. When Bitfiend's going, is it possible for there to be a collapse in 30 days? Again, you pointed out Turkey, nobody cared. Next country, China, nobody cares. It's communist and this and that. All right, it's getting to the Bank of England, Great British Pound, all these other currencies going down, eventually it's just starting to roll. And then we also had this week, it's the second article I wanted to pair with this, was Credit Suisse in the hunt for the weakest link in global finance. And so I guess they're on some level of bank that's considered like an internationally important bank. I forget what the exact title of it is, but
they're too big to fail.
Yeah, it's like a too big to fail bank. Like they will get bailed out because they are important in the international game of all of this stuff working. And they are struggling right now. And so they're being monitored by like the Swiss banking system and all this other stuff.
Struggling. Oh my!
Yes, there's like a problem right now. So
May I briefly interject?
Yes, please do.
Scroll up just a hair, just a hair.
Just a little hair. Okay, let me
To
get
the
right
picture there.
here.
Okay, so people want to talk about like energy and everything. Like, how much does it cost to heat that fucking building?
Yeah, that cold ass building with the stone.
Look at it.
Because that doesn't make sense. Not if you're
Dude, have you ever walked into a bank and felt bad for them?
No.
No.
You know what I mean? No, you're like, Jesus, nice. Like,
Is this
come on,
marble?
man.
Is this
What's
marble?
the cost? What's the cost to even? It's just like walking into a casino. Like, how do you think they built that? You know? Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
but yeah. Let me read through this a little bit for you. As interest rates rise and asset prices slump, investors are scrambling to identify the weakest link in the global financial system. Every bear market produces national and corporate victims who got skewered in 1997 to 1998. Route Thailand economies imploded, as did the LTCM, I don't know the heck, a hedge fund. Iceland and Lehman Brothers were victims, and this has been compared a lot to the Lehman Brothers situation, this bank and this situation. That's what I've seen the most on crypto Twitter and in articles and in podcasts and whatnot. Most people are considering this to a Lehman Brothers level of capitulation, where market gonna have one of these historic Black Thursday, Black Monday, whatever title that eventually becomes a movie or a TV series because it was that crazy. So was somebody about to say something? Because I kind of opened the floor after that. I'm like, I feel like that was like the most important thing is to pay attention about these things and to you want to know more about this, research this yourself. Credit Suisse, SUISSE. Tons of information to find. This is The Economist covering this. So that's like, a lot of people really trust The Economist.
So I mean, I don't really follow like fiat economies or global economies like that. It's mostly just cryptos. But I know that my buddy does, and so he's one of the one that was telling me about it. And I'll tell you, like, the question is, and I mean, he brings up valid points because he likes cryptos, and he believes in them, but he thinks that they're too perfect. It's too good, and that like the government can come and like shut it down at any moment. So obviously, I don't believe that because there's just too much. That. Yeah, well, he believes that he can, and I mean, the reality of it is, in terms of like what they did in Canada with the truckers or something, wasn't it the truckers that they were like accepting?
I mean, we saw similar to that with the Tornado Cash thing.
Right. So
on a broader scale, honestly, because it wasn't just Canada anymore.
So like, if the U.S. dollar collapses, like if global fiat economies just die, who the hell is gonna want or care about cryptos when like people are just trying to get food or survive, and there isn't any food? You know what I'm saying?
If the internet is still around, people are going to care about crypto.
Oh, of course.
If the dollar collapses, then that means that your digital dollar collapses. That means that you're going to be trying to trade something, and that means anything that you can trade. There were people who were fleeing Ukraine who all they could use was Bitcoin to buy tickets and to buy buy passes to buy hostels. So I mean, hopefully, if the dollar collapses, the internet is still working, and we can all decide to formulate a plan on what the fuck we're gonna do and what
I don't know.
I find valuable.
When it comes to all the institutional adoption, it hasn't actually slowed down.
Yeah, no,
so
it hasn't. It's been speeding up.
There's going to be a transition. Web3 is a thing. These institutions are already using Web3. And it's only a matter of time. I'll tell you, if the dollar collapses in 30 days, then institutions and businesses and governments are going to come out on the 31st day saying they're use cryptos from now on.
See, and I don't even think, I'm of the opinion that I don't even think it's going to be the dollar that collapses in 30 days. If something like monumental happens, and this is kind of on tandem with our next article, so I'll save the article for a moment, but I don't think it'll be the dollar necessarily. I think, if anything, it's other currencies that like collapse on a large scale.
It won't be the dollar first.
Yeah, the dollar will be the last one to fall, though. The dollar is with the dollar milkshake. The dollar milkshake theory. It's like the dollar is the last one to fall. We are.
I heard something.
Liquidity.
If they're saying the dollar is going to fall in 30 days, though, we got like hundreds of currencies that are going to fall this month.
That's the thing, though. Like, it's like everything is valued in in USD.
Yeah.
So it's just
Everything.
like that's what everyone's problem is. They compare everything to the US dollar because I mean that's they use the US dollar to pay for a lot of their shit.
It's a universal
Um,
way of calculating wealth.
and that's the problem is that it's controlled by someone who can fuck it up and
Yeah.
who is not asking other people that have to use the dollar. You know, they're not taking into account what, you know, we should all think that we should do with it. And at this point, it's inflation is gone too far. Like there's nothing that we can do about it now. It's that
Oh, well,
battle's
it's
been
never going to
lost.
stop. I mean, that's the
No.
thing, though. And that's where most people don't really understand how money works. You know,
No.
our founding fathers knew that the dollar was doomed. It had a good run. You know, it's been strong, but
And
their
so
Federal Reserve Bank doesn't work. It just
Does
doesn't work.
does the U.S. dollar hold face if we're not the world power, if we don't control every canal, every port? Is the USD even that valuable? Is our entire dollar backed by violence, backed by the military?
Man, you
Is
guys,
that where we're at?
I have to put this on screen because this is part of again. You can find many dollar milkshake theory articles. This is from Bloomberg. I just wanted to find a more reputable source talking about this, and this is showing a lot of other countries' strength against the dollar over the last year. So again, most people are down, and this is, I don't know when this was written. This is like July or something like that. So they're down. They're down bad. This was some months ago. They went down further. Yeah, at this point in time, the British pound is only down at 11%, and they did make a little retraction from recently. But this part right here is kind of right on par with what you guys are kind of saying, which is they're kind of questioning, you know, what makes the dollar strong or whatever. All currency, and they have a kind of a little point here to break down about the dollar milkshake theory, and it says, for one, all currencies are doomed because they are not actually valuable. Yeah, all currencies are kind of just a way of acquiring taxes from people, and if we look at the history of currencies. Again, I like to use Money Match Gaming's Crypto and Investing 101 series where we go through a bunch of different videos on this stuff and we cover this stuff pretty in depth. But yeah, the currencies are kind of just like a way of like funding wars and stuff like that. And we just print out paper. Literally, it's just being printed out for whatever is necessary for the government to get by. And I'm not talking about the United States. I'm not talking about any specific government. This is just historically. That's what they do. If it's using paper money, they just print it out to get their whatever their agenda or policy is.
like the story that we just talked about with the UK printing to buy gilts.
Yep. Yep.
Like,
yeah. And eventually they just mess up. Eventually they print too much because human error comes into question or human emotion and stuff like that. Oh, we don't want people to suffer at a time like, and it's like times when we can usually fix things like, but sometimes things are going so good that they don't want to make that adjustment, that necessarily adjustment, and sometimes things are going so bad, and the other people are benefiting and they don't want to make the necessarily adjustment, and we just get these horrible scenarios. But that was the first thing. The second one was, again, the dollar is slightly better than the other currencies because it's the favorite child against the reserve currency of the world. So it's slightly better because everything has to funnel back into the dollar. And then the third point here was that when the Fed stops making, the Federal Reserve stops, not the government, but the Federal Reserve stops making more dollars, the frothy milkshake of the title, a demand for existing dollars goes up. And that's exactly, and this is written before this stuff happened, right? This is written before the last few rate hikes and before the pound suffered that much more. But people understand these things, and so it's just like, you know, we're all playing this catch up game to how you know how much financial literacy do you have, but people already know this stuff that then that's the way that certain bets are going, and you know it's been known by some folks for a while now that yeah, they stop printing this money, the dollar go up. And that means all these other folks are going to suffer, and this has already been written. It's like, you know, like going back to Greek mythology, it's the fates. It's already been decided. Spinning now, we're just spinning this web. But I thought that was right on par with what you guys were talking about there, as far as these currencies. And does the fiat have any actual value? No. Especially in the United States dollar, even the reserve currency of the world, has not had that actual value since we depegged it from gold. Which was like, I know we didn't want to lose the gold and lose that battle, but I'm like, bruh, it seems like a silly mistake. I felt like you were trying to say something there. Maybe you're muted, Biffine.
Oh yeah, it was. I said it was a long time ago.
Yeah. It was. But now we're seeing kind of like a resurgence of this type of thinking, where like again, like Russia is talking about that, and China's there's just apparently different world economies that are actually like, maybe we should go with something else, because if all these other currencies are suffering, there's a way that you can stop your currency from suffering, and that will be pegging it to something else, not pegging it to this asset that is going up and becoming so strong against it. Well, then peg it like you can use other means, but there's an agreement to use an SI's dollar. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, how much we can get with this. The other part of this article that I wanted to share with you guys was specifically about the United States Federal Reserve, which was that the United Nations, maybe you guys saw something about this, the United Nations was actually requesting that the Federal Reserve stop the tightening. Stop. The United Nations actually asked for this. Yes. And so the Federal Reserve can continue to not listen to their allies in the world. They're like, you're hurting our economies. And I just showed you guys that list of all the other countries that were suffering 3 months ago or whatever the heck, and they've been suffering that much more since. And we just raised
really
it
care,
again.
though.
Yeah, it's just kind of a situation. Jerome Powell did say we don't know if we're going to be able to provide a soft landing.
I really think that behind the scenes, they're buying all the cryptos, and at the end of the day, the United States is going to be king of cryptos.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we had like a nice, got a nice fat stack, and then all of a sudden, yeah, actually we will use Bitcoin and we have the most of it in the world. Or actually we will use Ethereum. We have the most of it in the world. We got it on lock.
It's gonna I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they've got warehouses mining the shit already, mining all kinds of cryptos. Freaking ETH nodes running Bitcoin. They're not stupid. They don't want everyone to be rich. If the government had said in 2013, Bitcoin, get it, we're good, it would have been over. Are you kidding me? Think about it.
Yeah.
Everybody would have it's almost the same way where the government didn't really talk about the internet. There was so much hate against the internet back then. There was so much my parents wouldn't even let me get an online subscription because their credit card would be online and susceptible to scammers.
I don't want that information online.
Right, a bunch of news stories about how dangerous the internet is or was, and look at where we are now. And the banks. I remember everybody was against the internet. So many people, because they didn't understand it. So this really isn't that much different. And I tell my friends all the time, what if Bitcoin and cryptos is what saves this economic collapse? Somebody saw it coming. So that's what I believe. Somebody saw it. They knew it was going to happen. The US dollar is going to go away, and cryptos is what's going to save the day. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, no. I'd like to back that up with some facts from this article. Scrolling down just a little bit on the page. It says, according to this report from UNCTAD, so I believe something to do with the UN and their research of global currencies. Go ahead and look up that title, though. But projects projects a global economic slowdown or growth slowdown to 2.5% in 2022 and 2.2% in 2023. So just slowing down. This will cost the planet $17 trillion, more than 20% of its income. So then do the math there. You can see the planet's actual income.
Who pays the planet?
I think we just mean
No, I get it.
I'm how we're producing these. Who does pay the planet? Yeah, but I think that's really interesting. 20% of the profits to be made on the planet.
Elon Musk
essentially
pays the planet.
Disappearing. I mean, could right? But yeah, imagine 20% of all the profits in the world just disappearing 1 year. That's whether you want to admit it or not, that's going to hurt everybody's pocket in some sense. That's 20%, 1/5 of something that you were going to do is either that much more expensive by a fifth, or maybe more than a fifth, honestly, because if a fifth is disappearing, that's going to create some type of shock type of situation.
It would never disappear if it was on the blockchain. We would always be able to find it.
This is it's the fact. But yeah,
What the fuck?
What's the solution to this grand problem? And they mentioned the British pound and its weakness down here, going down to 107 before recovering to 113 days later, but still down. Yeah, the solution is to reverse course, to stop the quantitative tightening that our Federal Reserve is doing with the
More
reserve
inflation.
currency, and to pump back up to an inflation, which other countries, again,
You
Britain.
know what that means, right?
Britain already said they're going to do it, and so we need the United States if anything, just stop. They got to stop tightening that much against other countries.
That means another bull run is incoming.
Exactly. And so yeah, it's like if they do so, this is something to pay attention to, and you honestly don't know, because got to catch it. You got to catch it perfectly. But let's say you had paid attention to these Fed pivots, as they're called, previously. You would have pretty much been able to time the last little top out around February or so, because that's when they're like, yeah, we're gonna start turn off the printers and this and that. You would have been able to time it. You would have been selling at the top. You'd have been selling at the top. Period. You'd have caught somewhere around the top. What are you 10% off the top? You're making nice profit if you'd have done that. And so catching the pivot. And again, that's like giving yourself a month of breather room, and you could have still been around 10% or 20% off the top and made tons of profit.
There were a couple people who actually called the top. Now they're billionaires, like Elon Musk. When he sold all that Twitter stock, that was basically the top.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was another guy, I forget exactly who it was.
Think about how much money Elon made. He sold the top like that for Twitter.
Yeah,
he sold his own stock.
He sold his own Tesla stock.
He was a successful Charlie Lee.
Sheesh.
and now he owns Twitter. You get to see what he's gonna turn Twitter into. That's gonna be.
He doesn't own Twitter anymore.
Not
he backed
yet.
out of it, didn't he?
Not yet, but we can also. I thought we covered that.
You might as well say he owns it.
But he went back into the agreement.
He agreed to buy it. He agreed to buy Twitter today.
Yeah.
He did agree today.
The original.
It was like
price.
yesterday. That was the Doge pump.
For
So
sure.
did they disclose bot information then?
I don't think so. I think he just he just said that he wanted to he's going to go back to the original deal. Maybe it's because the market's down so much and he sold at the top, honestly. But yeah, he's going to go back to that. He said acquiring Twitter helps them get that much closer to this Platform X idea.
Wow.
And so Twitter is just like a stepping stone
This
for them.
Platform X, is that his little decentralized social media app platform?
I mean, he was previously quoted as saying that Twitter wouldn't work on the blockchain, but then 2 days later, he's out here putting the back for Twitter and then leaving a tweet.
If Hive works on the blockchain, Twitter will work on the blockchain.
Yeah, so I'm he maybe ate up some of those words, or maybe some of the gigabrains of the internet, just to send him a DM, because they do this, and you'll see these disclosed DMs oh, actually, I was talking to Jack Dorsey, and it does work.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh my god.
And what's funny? Listen.
This makes me laugh, dude.
What's funny is Jack's literally trying to do it with Blue Sky. They literally looked into Hive and talked to the head people of Hive, and they're doing, you know what I mean? Their project is similar to Hive. I mean, it's going to be an improvement. I'm sure it's going to be an improvement. You got some serious money looking into it, but it's just kind of funny. They're all oh, Blue Sky, that's what they're talking about is Blue Sky.
Hey, Hive will always be Tumblr. I'm just kidding.
Hive will always be Tumblr. Fair enough.
It'll always be but it'll always be there. I think it'll always be there. I'm maybe more appropriate would be Twitter, because I think it's a lot closer to a Twitter type of thing, where everybody slept on Twitter for a few years. It's Facebook kind of the move, Instagram kind of the move, this and that kind of the move. What was that? Vine kind of the move, and then all these other platforms died, and Twitter is still here. Twitter and the hashtags, which they made so dang popular, because again, that was Twitter, y'all. It's still here.
Yeah, but a lot of the newer kids are using TikTok and saying Twitter and Facebook is for old people. So
I mean, yeah, because it's more multimedia.
Its days are numbered.
I don't know though, because we saw this with the Instagram thing, and I think the thing that exists between, and this is just my own opinion, right, guys? But and I've worked in social media for over a decade, but I think the thing that gives Twitter its staying power is that I kind of wrote this thing like back in college about like what different social media apps are needed, and what will like have that staying power in the internet. And it's like we need to fill up all these different media areas. So we need type of social media content that's about images, and we need a social media type of content that's about videos, TikTok, YouTube. And I'll go into it more. But we need one that's about videos, and then we need one that's about writing. We already have long form. My thesis behind this, we already have long form versions of these things. We need them to be shorter and concise, and things are going to keep getting shorter and concise. And like I was writing about Snapchat and stuff like that before it ever came out. Like I had the whole timeline and stuff like that written down, like to the point that like the stuff started coming out, and I was like, dude, did my college professor steal my papers? Like, did you like legit just take it? Because like nobody else had these ideas in our class or anything like that. It's like back in like 2011 and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I had the like idea from like, I'm like, yeah. And like after 2 years or so of your application, then you put in a timeline where things disappear in 24 hours. And like it just makes sense. You move the timeline to its own thing. But when you like think about those type of things and like just like what's needed as far as communication and media and the internet, I feel like short form written content, if it's not Twitter, somebody else is going to come along and provide the ability to do short form written content, because the same way that we like podcasts, and like people are like, oh, podcast, how was that so popular? Because the radio's been around for a long time. And people still like driving around listening to the radio, right? So of course, like podcasts and just like a more digital form, there's certain things that just don't go away. You want just like you want to eliminate a factor of the multimedia and make it as minimal as possible in that factor of social media or something like that. I don't think that's going to go away. And so I think Twitter's a great one for the short term written one, but maybe something else comes up. I think TikTok would definitely probably take in the cake for the short form video content, because it allows you to do all the editing that you need to do. Instagram for honestly still images. But like, yeah, who's going to take those different cakes? Good. Mitchell Point. Hive probably got some staying power there due to how they're built. I don't think they're going away anytime soon. Nothing really seems
I don't know, man. It just kind of reminds me of like, you guys remember Angel Fire websites?
Yes, sir.
I do.
It just kind of reminds me of like, yeah, it just kind of
cool Dragon Ball Z images I saw on those.
I just feel like Hive sometimes is just kind of like the not quite all there stepbrother, you know what I mean? Like that you just allow to hang out, and he's just like but the progress they make, it's just 8-bit. You know what I mean? It's just like 8-bit advancements.
Damn.
I love Hive, but it's just but it's
You're right.
It's really it comes down to the difference between decentralization and centralization. When you have the centralization and you can pump a lot of money in a very refined development of, I want this done. I have a clear vision. I'm a dictator. Boom, 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 boom. Let's face it, dictators can be more effective, but
the China thing I was talking about before,
they can also be very corrupt. So it's which one do you want? And with decentralization, the growth can be so slow because it requires such a concise agreement on everything, of every little change. But it's a very decentralized decision making. I firmly believe that with Hive. You have powers that be. You have a hierarchy. Keep shuffling it. It's gonna be the same people rise to the top. You know what I mean? Like these. I'm not gonna go any further than that. But
no, I think it's a good point. So, I feel like solid point, and I'm gonna use it to segue us into our next point, because you said something. You called Hive something that I'm gonna go back to. You called it the stepbrother. It's just allowed to be in conversation.
Stepbrother of Angel Fire, though.
I'm saying like Angel Fire is like the stepbrother to like professionally built websites that work well, and you know what I mean.
And
like
then Hive
drag
is like
and drop, and you just kind of like you have the same. What is it? I'm not good with fonts, but it's like the Times New Roman or the Arial. It's just the default font everybody uses.
It's that old school. It's just like it's not as polished up as, like, again, as you're saying, like not as polished up as that VC product when all that venture capital stuff.
I was still
the bones
uploading
are there,
HTML
but it's just
pages
not quite
nice
smooth.
menus.
But here I'm going to transition us to a VC backed product, stepbrother, if you will, in VC backed, that's still struggling in the dust. And I love to bring it up each time. I need to get over here. Like I need to get over here. Like I need to get on more, send more of my money to Dogechain. Ethereum killer Solana suffers another major outage. Yeah.
Not surprised.
Sorry, Solana folks. The growing pains continue. Go buy some shoes. Got different types to buy now, I guess.
Wow. I am not surprised.
And it seems like it was like a single node. It doesn't even seem like it was a big thing. I read something else about it. It seemed like the node, it was caused by like a single node being not correct. So they transferred further to the decrypt over Twitter. A validator was running a duplicate validator instance, meaning when they're trying to produce a block, they produce one for each instance for the same slot. So some validators saw one block, some others, and so it created an issue.
So that's a fork, right? Basically, you have a fork and you have to stop it.
It's a situation where
what happened to my staked soul?
I feel like usually that person like gets slashed or punished in a lot of other networks, and so I don't know if they're having that happen in Solana because again it's VC backed and they're probably like, yeah, this is a partner of ours who messed up the network and brought it down for everybody.
Because they're centralized and they don't have enough nodes.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to punish their buddy to get it correctly and do it right for people versus, and that's the difference between this and decentralized, because in decentralized land, not actually decentralized land, but decentralized land, if you make these mistakes for a big blockchain, like, and you're like one of these validators, then they're slashing you, and slashing is basically getting rid of your crypto. You're getting punished for making that mistake that affected the blockchain, and usually gets fixed really quickly in more decentralized land, because you got all these developers that are like, this dunce, and they make the corrections as a whole. But here in VC time, not so quickly, because you got less people that are actually doing the behind the scenes work and not getting punished. So Solana, is it gonna overtake Ethereum? I don't think so.
No,
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it. Not until they can be way more decentralized.
How are they gonna beat Polygon?
How would Solana beat Ethereum when Ethereum is going to flip Bitcoin?
Flip. Yeah, that's a good question.
Everybody's quiet.
Are they the same people saying the same thing? Because that means Solana's gonna be the king.
Yeah. Solana.
I think that there's a world where Ethereum could overtake Bitcoin.
Ethereum already has overtaken Bitcoin for like 7 days, a long time ago.
In market cap,
the flipping is happening.
When we're talking about its value to the US dollar.
Now, thank you. You read my mind. Exactly.
Some people don't think that that the value in US dollar matters, which if that's what you think, then okay.
250,000 Ethereum change difference. 250,000.
And I feel like no, it says change different, and I'm like, I feel like that's like a big change from recently too. Like a lot of this got pushed out like within the last like I want to say week or so.
Yeah, I feel like last week it wasn't nearly that much.
Yeah, I'm like, it's been like less than 100,000. Like like to the point that I'm like, do I need to refresh this? When did this get punched out? Yeah. This is a little bit more what I like. I need a little refreshing. It looked like I don't know what was up with the digits, because now let's do one more. Third time's a charm. Refresh, and then you refresh again. Cool.
Do the simulate POW.
Yeah, actual since the merge is 11,000 Ethereum increase since the merge, not that 200,000. Maybe it was doing the POW actually. Let's see.
That's crazy.
That's what it was.
200
that is what it was doing.
I feel like Solana is.
So it would have been 200.
It would have been 258 grand, but now it's only 11,000. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm sorry,
well, how much money
there?
are people not making?
You mean like the miner? Like miners not making?
I don't know. I don't really know how to like really truly describe it, because some of the miners are on POW or on staking, and what is the difference? What are they not making anymore? Or did they have to stack ETH forever just to break even? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a good. Oh, yeah, had one block of deflationary streak there. What was I trying to find here? There's some specific. There's a portion of this. Here, this is kind of what I want to find, but they have a little bit better of a breakdown here. It'll let you know what sectors of Ethereum or what industries basically are burning the most Ethereum. And so that's kind of cool that you can see that. You can see OpenSea is responsible for 162 Ethereum being burnt in the last 24 hours. Uniswap awesome. Coming in second. That's Uniswap v3 and then Uniswap v4. Ethereum transfers just between users, I guess. Tether And when you go to it, where is the thing? Here, right here. A lot of people hate on NFTs, but if you do like NFTs, you know that you are helping burn the most Ethereum on the blockchain. So usually the top two are between, and these two can switch from day to day, but it's either DeFi or NFTs are burning the most Ethereum that I've seen any day of the week.
So what we mentioned last week, like once the energy thing isn't the leading argument against crypto, what's the next one? NFTs. Well, boom, boom, boom. What's the third now? Right? Is that where we're at?
Well, I think like what Biffin was saying was his friend saying that the government can turn off crypto whenever they want, or I think all the government could do is tell you to stop using crypto, and they can tell companies who have incorporated and decided to stick to the Fed's rules on financial things. They can tell them to stop using crypto, but they can't tell you that you can't get some Bitcoin somehow and you can't send it to somebody. Like, there's always going to be a way to do that, because like the government in the United States is not the government in other places, and you can use your computer and use it from another country being in America. Like,
will governments be able to shut down Starlink? If you want to talk about decentralization, I think we got to talk about the decentralization of access, right?
I was having I started a conversation with some of my coworkers about services and businesses that should be nationalized, and we were talking about how everyone deserves a right to have internet access, and everyone deserves the right to be able to connect with the internet. So I think that Starlink is really interesting. I think that they probably could try to censor it, or do something. I'm not sure.
I would say, I don't know if everybody like naturally, like God-given right has the to internet, but the question I would like to think about is it possible for us to give everybody the internet? You know what I mean? Like, I would say it's like you're right as a human being, but I would definitely say like, okay, well, regardless, like let's think about like, is it possible for us to give everybody internet? And yeah, I mean, and then I would like to ask Elon, like, can anybody shut you down? You know what I mean? Can you be shut down? Is there a way where we can? Are you gonna what are you gonna do with that power of Starlink?
You're trying to buy a Starlink node so that you can decentralize the network.
Has anybody ever talked about that? I've never heard the conversation.
It would be interesting to have an internet that was ran on nodes that people had to have the nodes to keep the internet up.
There's like that the helium, no? In HNT?
The Internet of Things. That sounds like an invasion of privacy, but I don't know.
Like, you've heard of helium, no?
Isn't that like the Internet of Things? Like,
is that what they call it?
Get your little helium hotspot thingy and
yeah.
You become like a router or something. I don't know.
You're you're basically using your internet connect to make this other layer of the internet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
sounds like it hasn't caught on yet. I don't know.
There's a lot of places. It's like a time.
There are a lot of people who are using it. I even thought about it for probably a day or two.
I was like, I don't know if it's for me, but then like the concept is cool. Concept is cool. I don't know if that's the finalized version of something like that. If that's exactly how it should work and stuff. So it's like, that's what stopped me from really going on it. But you saying that just made me think of it. I'm like, helium's kind of working on something.
So if we could run a node, or we can be like, Elon, how much money do we need to send a single Starlink satellite up? Right? I'll collect some money. I'll knock on some doors. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, let me get a piece of this. Come on. Let's decentralize this, man.
Right.
Someday. To keep us moving, there's a few more topics that I want to go on, and then we can open things up if anybody has anything we want to touch on before we wrap up today. But I'm gonna bring us back from the Solanas and whatnot to a little bit of NFT news before, and then I have a potential airdrop situation that I want to share as well. But for some NFT news. We're going to start off with this player here, which is a partner to Splinterlands. I think it was between them mentioned Splinterlands earlier. So they're a partner of Splinterlands.
Yeah, my attention.
And it is Warner Music Group. Ah, you might have been excited, but I don't know how exactly because they're a conglomerate. They're like huge business. But anyways, OpenSea partners with Warner Music Group on music NFT drops. Still good for Splinterlands just because they already partner with them before. That's the thing. That's how dang good Splinterlands is. Let's give them their props real quick.
Like, for
Splinterlands
real.
is so dang big that Warner Music Group came to Splinterlands for a partnership before they went to OpenSea.
Think about that.
What? Let that sit in. Oh my goodness! Like if you, like even if you don't play the game, there's obviously some level of value. Like I have not lost any money from the $20 that I put in a long time ago. It's just like, yeah, it's like nah, good.
I put in like $2,000 a long time ago.
Oh my
It was
lord!
totally fucking worth. I'm still sitting on a stack.
Yeah,
I'm so happy, and the market is so down, and I'm still like. I think Splinterlands is my biggest portfolio right now.
Yeah, you're like, hey, it's all good. It's all good. We up so much. And that's how it is when you're early in crypto. For anybody who's like, you're hearing us talk about something like that, or you hear us talk about other tokens. That's literally just how it is to be early in crypto.
Hell yeah.
I'm still sitting on. If you forgot, like, I got like a message from like Bittrex, like, or one of the exchanges, like, where they're like, oh yeah, you still have this much Cardano sitting there. And I'm like, that's because I spent like $30 on it, and like it's like an insane amount of money. Now I'm like, oh, that's nice, cool. It's like that's a lot more than $30. I'll chill on that, and rainy day happens, and there's the car expenses, like on some $30. But that's how it feels to be early on crypto. It can happen with your games that you like. People, the Link Marines experience that early on. That's how it is. But yeah, I wanted to bring this up because this is pretty cool for music NFTs, which is a big sector of NFTs that's just starting to get its real shine going, I feel like. And it says, where's the section I want to cover? Yeah, artists who sign with Warner Music will have their own drop pages on OpenSea in an attempt to bolster fan engagement and build community, according to Warner Music Group release. And so just trying to help out with that engagement stuff. And NFTs are a great way to do so when you get extra things like perks. We were talking about tickets and receipts and all that stuff before. This is like a situation where, like, yeah, you get an NFT of an artist, and especially if you paid so much for it, and even if you didn't, like, then you get these perks that come along with them. Again, I mentioned this earlier in the stream where I was talking about Gary Vee and V Friends, and got in a conversation, I was in a little Twitter debate that I kind of started because I was like, yeah, give me some answers. Why do people actually hate NFTs in 2022? And the people were trying to hate on Gary and this thing that he did where his NFTs are now toys for Toys R Us. It's just that, like, you can get so much utility out of these perks. It really, perks can be a big thing for NFTs. And in the case of Gary's, they were like, oh, well, what do you actually get from this NFT? And I'm like, you already got access to VCon, which, like, before he did this, like, if you were going to some type of like a convention or whatever with Gary, it was going to be at least a few $100 to $1,000 to go to this thing with Gary. So you got that use out of it. You're getting to use it more than once, and now you're getting these. You got access to the man himself. You get all these different things, and this is somebody who's doing $1 million deals with Nikes and Coca-Colas and whatever the house. And you get access to this high level marketer. So I'm like, yeah, it just depends on the perks. Are, if that's your favorite artist, if you're a BTS fan or something like that, and you get these perks of BTS, and now you get the cool BTS VHS. That would actually be kind of interesting because then people would be going out to buy a VHS player, or whatever. But you get these cool perks, then yeah, that's cool to you as a fan, and that's what you wanted, and it's actually worth your money. But yeah, that's a really cool one. And then the other big NFT news was Meta, Facebook, NFT stuff. And so when you say Meta, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, I think WhatsApp they own as well. But Meta opens NFT sharing for US Facebook and Instagram users. I have yet to actually experiment with this stuff, but they've been talking about it for a while, and it shook the internet when they first mentioned it. But yeah, now their NFT stuff's starting to drop, so I can imagine pretty soon you'll probably start seeing NFT stores and stuff like that on Facebook, the same way that, or like pricing maybe potential or ability to buy the same way that you can do with normal clothing items and stuff like that. Maybe Facebook's going to be the one leading the way and integrating that with actual social media in a way. So while we're talking about that whole thing of, Web3 social media, don't really want that to be the case, but Facebook might be early enough into the lane that they just like, yeah, let's try to talk. They've been trying to with their Libra project for a while before they sold it off. So maybe this is a different way for them to pioneer into it.
Facebook has been swinging and missing for years now at this.
That they do.
Crypto, NFT,
Libra
VR
coin.
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that they're trying to do.
You remember
The
the
problem,
Libra?
it can't come from top down, man.
They
It's
sold
not going to be able
Libra.
to come
Did you-
top down. Not a real
Did you
project.
Did you know about Libra Bitfiend?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Did you know that they sold that to it was a bank in the United States, I believe, but they sold it to a bank. So
Yeah,
I
like,
didn't know
they
that.
like- yeah, so it's like it's not like it like had no value behind the project and stuff like that. They were like, it's just not us, the regulation stuff like that to go with it, and they did fine with it. It's not like it didn't like
Well, yeah. I mean, if they
pass this on to
launched,
somebody else who can use it.
if they had launched Libra as an actual decentralized asset, it probably would have taken off. They would have had no financial mishap. They wouldn't have had to sell because there wouldn't have been nothing to sell. You know, Mark
Yeah,
Zuckerberg would have looked at the
Everybody
SEC
wants
and
their
been like,
hands
dude,
on the
it's
profit, though.
decentralized. What do you want from me?
Yeah, they waited around and they wanted permission and they wanted to do it the way that
They
the
wanted to
government
do
wanted
it
them to do it.
centralized. Exactly.
Yeah, and
If
that's
they
where
had-
they fucked up.
If they had just launched, even if they just launched a smart contract on ETH or something, it would have been.
I mean, look at fucking Do Kwon. He launched one of the biggest crypto Ponzi schemes in the world, and the fucking South Korean
Crazy.
government is tweeting about going after him, and he's tweeting back talking about, nah, they're not really after me, with his location on.
Oh my God.
Like,
Damn.
it's the wildest shit I've ever seen. Like, so it's just
Wow.
like you gotta stop asking for permission to do this stuff, because of course these people are gonna be like, nah, you can't do that, because that's what
Trustless
we
and
do.
permissionless.
You know who
That's
didn't
what we do.
you know who didn't ask for permission as a pioneer? Kim Kardashian.
Great segue.
If you didn't see the Kim Kardashian news from earlier this week, Kim Kardashian was sued by the SEC for promoting what is it called? It's like Ethereum, Ethereum or X Ethereum or
I think
something like
it
that.
was Ethereum Max.
Yeah, Ethereum Max, something like
Oh
this.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I remember there was a few like influencers pumping ETH Max and
ETH
The
Max
other
was
one.
like on, wasn't it on like?
Binance Smart Chain or some stupid shit.
No,
Oh,
it was getting crazy advertisements, like with like a boxing match, like was like a Logan Paul fight sponsored by
yeah.
EtherMax or something. Like, it
Floyd
wasn't-
Mayweather or some
Like,
shit.
yeah, like they're fucking going after Kim Kardashian for fucking EtherMax when they were promoting
was-
everywhere. Like,
She was
what the
well. They're
fuck
going
is
after
this?
they're going after all of them, and there was Feg Token as well. And I already know. The thing is, I know personally.
Fag made some millionaires though.
Yeah, but I know personally a rapper, kind of like he's a celebrity, but he's a low totem pole type celebrity, and he was shilling the hell out of Feg Token, and I'm sure he made a bunch of money while he dumped on his fan base, but I wouldn't be surprised if like the SEC wouldn't go after him because he's not an A-list celebrity.
Kim
It's like they're-
Kardashian put that advertisement was an ad in her shill. So it's like it's like the SEC has these rules where you have to say it's an ad. You have to say you're making money off this. You have to do all this extra stuff about it. And it's
Right.
just like that's complete bullshit, because people can go on YouTube and advertise, and people can go everywhere else and advertise these products. Yeah, I
without
mean, it's
disclosing that
not
info.
yeah,
just
without
because
disclosing. Yeah.
It's just the reason is I'm sure it had something to do with some kind of class action lawsuit or some kind of court case that went to the Supreme Court where an influencer has, a celebrity has so much influence over people that it's actually dangerous.
Which is just wild to me because, like, again, I saw it best, like, I often see things wrapped up best either on Reddit or Twitter. But this comment said, like, if you're going to Kim Kardashian's stories,
Oh, wow.
which is I guess if you're going to Kim Kardashian's stories for marketing, like market advice,
You'd be surprised how many people just follow everything she does, though.
and I'm just like, bro, for real though, you're just like, oh, Kim know what token to get. She's obviously been like, this is what she's spending her time on. Like, bruh, I mean, yeah, but like you said, like some
It's
people,
like somebody buying into the sandbox just because they heard Snoop Dogg was in the metaverse when he doesn't know shit all about what's going on.
Yeah,
He's
and
just
like
making
he's
money.
They probably didn't
he's
probably
not
store
saying
their
how much.
keys.
He's not saying how much money he's making fucking endorsing Sandbox, Gala.
Right, but
all the
it's
other
all
things
but it's
that
all
I think
corporate
he's
based.
dude. I think Snoop Dogg is on another level with as far as like I'm gonna be wherever the attention is, and he's been
Now-
doing it since he was a teenager.
Now,
Yeah, but he doesn't-
Snoop
he's
Dogg's
not
actually in the
actually there.
space. He's
Yeah.
he's actually getting NFTs. He is actually interested.
Who's got the time
there's-
to be able to be there? You know what I'm saying? Like he does a lot
Yeah.
of shit.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
I
no,
don't,
for
I don't
real.
need the Snoop fanboy. I'm sorry.
No, it's just I get that. I love Snoop. Don't get me wrong. It's just there was they did a interview with him, and he literally said that he doesn't know what the hell the metaverse is, doesn't care,
Yeah,
has
he's
no
honest about
plans
it.
on going to it. All he knows is that it makes him money.
well, you know who has been in the metaverse and who does care, and I think they said they had like a
Me.
Decentraland concert. Other than you, it was gonna be
Bitfiend.
another rapper, the Bitfiend the rapper.
Yep.
But no, it was 2 Chainz. I actually watched this interview with 2 Chainz.
What?
And he had a really interesting take on like his experience with the metaverse and doing concerts there,
Yo,
and
2
using
Chainz,
his
really?
friends' alt accounts so that he could go back in and see his own recorded metaverse performances and stuff like that, and how it turned him on to like just all this stuff, and like how he now thinks crypto and the metaverse and stuff like that is the future. So that was really interesting. But yeah, just because everybody's talking about Snoop and stuff like that, I'm like, you know who else is out there? Who's a hustler? Snoop out there doing it. Jim Jones out there doing it. These are there's some
Jim
rappers that
Jones.
really like the metaverse and crypto and stuff.
I'm pretty sure that one of my team members is actually working on that.
Working with Jim Jones. Yeah,
I believe so.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Again,
So,
yeah.
like, yeah, we're. I mean, I know that we're doing big things, trying to at least with Decentraland and getting more people.
All right, to wrap us up today, I'm gonna bring up our last little bits. I was gonna jump into some it was a little too complicated. It was like a DeFi protocol, so I'll share it on screen just like something to look up if you're interested in the direction DeFi has been going, and the type of strategies that are being used in DeFi. This would be a good place to get started. I just recently found this protocol, and so I can't really speak for the protocol itself, but it was doing some work around a bunch of other protocols that are pretty prominent in the space right now. And so this one's called Conic Finance, CONIC Finance. And basically what they allowed you to do was deposit your stablecoin into this protocol, and they would use different strategies. They take your stablecoin and they split it up into different LPs. And so if you deposited, I'm going to consider Ethereum to be a stablecoin in this situation for now. But let's say you deposited Ethereum, then it would take your Ethereum and it would use these other whitelisted protocols. So in this case, it's using like Convex and Curve, and it would split your Ethereum up into LPs, 3 different LPs in use on Convex and in use on Curve and in use somewhere else. And so now you're earning a yield off of those LPs in these different places. And so it's kind of like a progression from what we found from like Yearn, these kind of like basket type of things, or what are known as meta vaults. Just these different strategies being employed. This is a decentralized project. They're using Curve and Convex again to do a lot of this, but I thought this was an interesting one to share, just as like a little bit more in-depth, wrinkly brain stuff if you want to do your own research. Check out Curve Finance, check out Convex Finance, check out the Curve Wars if you want to know about those type of things.
Basically, just to sum up what that kind of stuff is just you have a coin you believe in, and you provide liquidity for people to buy and sell that coin and stuff, and it's just like you're getting rewarded for a coin you already believe in.
Yeah, and in this
then
case,
you just find these different platforms that pay you the most to put your liquidity there. It's wild.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's being done in like more of an automatic way for you with this Koenig thing. So, they it's only using certain whitelisted cryptocurrencies, so blue chip ones like Ethereum and stuff like that. A lot of it was stable coins, so DAI, USDT, and I think it was like mostly stable coins and then like Ethereum. But yeah, just interesting to see that this the direction that a lot of this DeFi and stuff like that is going. I know a lot of people maybe haven't heard much about DeFi other than straight up farms, or maybe it's just borrowing and lending protocols and farms. But when yield is being produced, we're starting to see more of these platforms kind of generate this way, where they're using multiple other platforms and their staking protocols to generate a yield at the best rates, and doing that with more blue chip or more stable tokens at that. So just bringing that up. Our last thing though of the day, this is a potential airdropper. Potential airdrop incoming. This is a project that I've heard about for a little over a year now or so. I haven't actually used it myself. I wasn't sure that they had their chain up and stuff like that, but here you go. Anyways, let me go over here. ZK Sync. This is actually the first that I was hearing about ZK rollups and stuff like that. Zero knowledge rollups. It's a scaling solution to Ethereum, layer 2 scaling solution. ZK Sync mainnet all set to launch in October. Okay, so it hasn't launched. That's why, Smurf. Okay, but this is like in line with the. So recently we had. You guys might remember this. We had Optimism launch. We had Arbitrum launch. And those are optimistic rollups. So that's one side of the Ethereum roll-up layer scaling solution side of things. ZK roll-ups, which I actually heard about way before Arbitrum and Optimism. ZK roll-ups and Immutable X, I believe, uses some type of zero knowledge roll-up system, I believe. But ZK roll-ups, ZK Sync, and they're called ZK. Yeah. So, anyways, is launching in October apparently, and there should be an airdrop just like there was with Arbitrum and Optimism. Potential airdrop along with this one too. And so I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because if there's an opportunity to catch one of these airdrops, go ahead. It's you could not do it, but again, the last airdrop that I caught was on Doge Chain for I sent like $120 or something like that to this platform. They gave me like $60 from the airdrop. That's like half of what I sent over to the platform. Airdrops can be very, very beneficial. Can be very profitable. So just sharing that with folks, so you don't take a lot to make a lot.
Listen, I think it would be a great use of our time to, find some good videos to make a MetaMask account, some good videos to store your keys, security. Let's build it. Let's build the framework for people who are getting interested. And then once we get their wallet, okay, let's just throw you an airdrop every week. Let's throw you a couple airdrops every week.
Actually working.
You don't need to do anything; just throw it in there, and you don't have any money involved, and you never know what can happen. And in the meantime, you can learn about the projects that you have the coins in. What were you saying, Bitfiend? Sorry.
No, I was saying that me and my team, Beavers, we're actually working on a project right now called Beaversity. And it's going to include, it's basically going to be a teaching tool. It's going to be a whole system to have people learn about Web3 and MetaMask and all that. I'm actually working on an introduction to Web3 video right now, and I've come to find out, I've talked to a few newer people recently to the space about cryptos, and the first one kind of ran off. It was too much for him, so I had to just think about how do I approach someone and introduce them to Web3 properly, because just going straight for Web3 obviously wasn't actually the answer. And the answer is almost what we do in this podcast, where we kind of talk about finance and money. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately it goes towards cryptos and why cryptos work.
Yeah,
so
that's been my take.
You have to start with money, specifically the US dollar, fiat currencies in general and their definitions, and you kind of, in layman's terms, you have to break down Zeitgeist, the movie, the financial part. We should the user.
We should run back with Trustless Degens. We should run back through I started something very similar, like what you're talking about already. and I've mentioned it a few times, our crypto and investing 101 series, and so I'm gonna pop it up on my screen here actually. But I'm like, ooh, we should do something similar with Trustless Degens, where I was using, it was just kind of like a precursor to Trustless Degens, honestly, where I was like, I need somebody to talk to, but I want to make like an intro course, and so I called it Crypto and Investing 101: Fundamentals and Concepts. And what we started with in this first one was psychology of trading and investing. And like, again, I'm trying to get people into crypto and Web3 and like on board, like help them. Like not like, oh, I'm trying to show you something, but like, yeah, if you're interested in this stuff, like, and I want to understand Bitcoin and stuff like that. And that's really where this idea came from. Some youngsters in our Discord saying that. And like, yeah, well, you need to understand the psychology of trading and investing, and you need to understand the history of United States money, and so we went through the history of money in general, and so like kind of like what you were just saying there, and then this is like a little clip from that, but then we went into the Federal Reserve, stocks and bonds, basically understanding investing and investing vehicles, because you hear all these terms in crypto, you hear bonds, we talked about chicken bonds at one point, what do it mean? What's the point of learning about crypto if you have no idea what stocks are? And then talk about banks and gold and oil. Why would I combine those three together? But we just talked about all these things like to kind of get the ball rolling on that, and I feel like I totally agree with you on that in that sense. Again, this is a course that I made to help onboard people into Web3, but it took this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes before I ever touched on anything like more so cryptocurrency related, like in depth. Like we maybe talk a little crypto, but is like you need to understand all these other concepts and stuff like that before you understand cryptocurrency.
Right. That's kind of that's how I adopted Bitcoin after watching the What is Bitcoin video. Like the first video I ever watched, 2013, I watched the video and like my jaw was on the floor. I was blown away. But that's because I had already watched Zeitgeist, the movie. I had already done pretty much all the research that I can between conspiracies and 9/11 and money and the gold, and it's all related, and I'm just like, wow, what an absolute shit show. Like, how is this gonna get solved? And then cryptos came along and I'm like, oh, this is it.
Yeah,
this is a no-brainer.
See, yeah, I might have to start tapping you guys to continue finishing that series, because we got a nice little start on it, and yeah, I feel like I got like I stopped myself because I was like, I could keep doing finance and like stuff like that and comparisons forever. I think I've gotten enough of them in, and I want to start moving, like actually transitioning toward like MetaMask wallet type of stuff. And like this is because laid a lot of groundwork there. It's like I'm looking at this, and that's like 3, 4, 5 hours worth of chatter there.
The guy that I talked to the second time, it was literally a 2-hour conference, and he was like hyped and excited, like, oh my god, I totally get what you're saying. So it's just, it all depends, maybe it's the person, but it all depends on how you say it and like what you bring to their attention.
Yeah,
because if they don't know how their bank works, they're not going to understand cryptocurrency. They're not going to get it. Like, do you realize your bank is screwing you every day? No, I didn't know that. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
Not your keys, not your coin. Not like same thing in the bank. It is not your coin.
Yeah, like, would you give someone your social security number? Hey, I got you an opportunity, and I'm gonna give you, a free airdrop. You can get $10,000, but first, you have to give me your social security number or your bank routing number. Hell no, they're not. No one's gonna do that. So like, treat your damn crypto wallet like your social. Like, I don't understand somebody that would actually give it away.
Yeah, it is it's that learning curve. But before we wrap up, folks, is there anything else? Like, I want to, we're kind of going on this topic, so this is kind of like, in topic. But yeah, anything else from the guys? I want to tap brains and make sure that we're covering things that were piquing interest this week.
On the our chat, I just posted a link to Crypto Stash's post about a ranking.
Yeah,
the rankings
I saw that.
You want to pull that up, Smurf, and maybe we can just quickly go over it if anybody's got an opinion on it. Because I saw Axie at the dead bottom, and it was called Wrecked, and I was like, yo, I mean, you're fully aware, but like, I think that's like Bryson endorsed too, right? So like he was heavy into Axie.
I don't really like Bryson's reviews on games too much, because he's I don't know. He's a good dude. I don't have an issue with him. I just didn't.
A little bit of a slappy.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I
Wait,
don't know.
when was this ranking? Before you keep going, Bitfan, do you guys know like how long ago this was?
October 3rd, that was today, bro. So like
October 3rd, you
the
said?
all, yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I guess like October 3rd was a couple days ago. um,
We are in a simulation.
so the games that have the most users are at the bottom of this list.
Could you
And,
pull that
I
up,
mean,
Smurf?
I
Yeah, I'm
understand.
trying to get to it. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's just like, I mean, that like I haven't I tried to watch Dead Drop, but I haven't seen much gameplay from that. I will say it that Alien Worlds is a very boring thing to play. I mean,
Yes.
you're just clicking in, you're doing clicks. It's just like what's that game? Crypto Blades, you know, you're clicking around, setting
Yeah,
stuff
there's
to
not. It's not really a
Um,
game.
Axes
I feel like,
has
they've
more of a
earned that.
game than Alien Worlds has. So I don't really get, and I mean Sandbox, I guess they have, their betas out right now. I haven't seen that one yet either, but the other side, they've been kind of impressing me with how many people they can get in like a web browser based game at a time. Um, that's not your typical blockchain experience.
Right.
That A tier, big time, Blankos, I assume that, yeah, Guild of Guardians and Illuvium. I've never messed. I don't know what Superior is. I don't know what Facem is.
What's
I don't
this?
know
What's
what
this S rank game that they have?
Dead Drop. It's the game
Oh.
by Dr. Disrespect.
Is it out yet?
They've been doing like snapshots and
No.
like game
Nah.
beta tests for it.
Nah. Come
I
on.
didn't
Come on, because
realize
the
they did-
Nyan heroes should be S tier, because like nothing is.
Is it even?
But
on
is
this
it
list?
out
I don't
yet?
see it.
No, it's
I
not.
don't see it.
Can
It's
you
not. But like, if we're doing that, Star Atlas and Nyan heroes on this.
One of
list.
my one of the Decentraland community members actually posted a comment on that saying that the next list better have decentral games on there. It's the play to earn casino that's in Decentraland. You just play poker, and it's like I'm not even sure if I would, as an ice wearable holder myself, that am extremely down on my investment. I'm not sure that DG even deserves to be on that list.
I
But
think that if this list is like which games are the most fun,
right.
then there's probably a strong case for that A tier. Those are games that
Yeah.
that look like they're pretty solid.
Well, I mean, if you like poker, I guess, then it should be on there.
I'm
But
Did
gonna
you see
argue-
what was
I'm
going
only
on
gonna
with poker
argue
the
B
other
and
day?
C tier. I'm only gonna argue B and C tier a little bit. I feel like some could be swapped there. But no, what's been going on with poker?
I think Splinterlands should be like B, A, or B at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna argue some of those Bs. I feel like some of the Bs
Yeah.
don't have the best movement that they have up there. And I'm
Most
like,
people
really?
don't like. A lot of people don't like trading card games anyway. So if Bryson doesn't like trading card games, then he's not gonna rank it properly.
Yeah.
Versus someone that actually does.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I didn't realize that they did a live ranking the way they did. Smurf showed that on his stream. Kind of zoomed through it a little bit. I only saw like the image, and yeah, when I saw Axie at the bottom and it said wrecked, I'm like, oof. But now that I saw that they did a video, I'm really interested in checking that video out and hearing the rationale of all of them.
Yeah.
I think that they did the thing for Axie to just get engagement.
So we'll have to watch the video and come back next weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm down to
Discuss
do
more
that.
because I mean it seems like a pretty good.
They got
Seems like
Alien.
there's a lot of games on
Alien
here.
Worlds above Axie and Townstar
Yeah.
and Thaden? What is
Yeah.
that?
That's what I said, dude. I said
What is
even
that?
Axes is better than Alien Worlds.
I'm
like,
telling you, man.
as far as an
they
entertaining
put Axie
game.
on wrecked because they've had a bad year. They
Yeah.
had the $1 billion or whatever taken
I'm
from
like, bro,
their.
stop. Yeah, if you
from
jumped
the
in right
bridge.
now, you're like, oh, it's a fine. Like you didn't have all those issues though. I'm like, yeah, for fun and playableness, come on, guys.
Yeah, it blows Alien Worlds out of the
That's
water.
why I'm
so.
like, I like the idea of Eve.io, but like,
That's-
yeah,
But the thing about
You know-
Alien Worlds is Alien Worlds might have the most active players out of all these games.
Well, they do. If you look on DAP Radar, it's
Yeah.
a hard pass between Alien Worlds and Splinterlands.
yeah, Splinterland's up there.
Okay.
I just think that Bryson is a gamer, so
Yeah.
he's not going to give a good review for a game like Splinterlands or
I mean,
Decentral Games, Ice
if you think
Poker, or
about
any
it,
of that.
if you think about it, would you compare Splinterlands to a game like Big Time or Illuvium? Like, would you say that it's more fun to play a game like Big Time or a game like Splinterlands?
I mean, I could say it's more fun to play Big Time, but at the same time, I have fun playing Splinterlands. It does get a little boring, so it's hard to say. I mean,
I can't
there's less to do. There's less to do on Rev Racing than there is on Splinterlands. So I just think that for them to be on the same.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I'm like Splinterlands and like Gods Unchained. I feel like Gods Unchained should be B.
And Phantom Galaxies. Phantom Galaxies is boring as hell. Like, it's a good game, but I just don't see that.
It needs
and
a multiplayer
Other Side.
aspect or
Why?
something.
How can Other Side be above
How is a good
Splinterlands
game?
when Other Side isn't even playable?
How is a
You have to
good
have a
game
freaking board. You have to be rich to
boring,
play
though?
Other Side.
How's it what? How's a good game boring?
Yeah.
Well, like I think, look again, this is my thing with like Phantom Galaxies. As
it
far
was
as like a
lonely.
polished game, it's nice and polished. Exactly. I said it should be multiplayer or something like that.
Right.
I think they
Phantom
have-
Galaxies
they have-
is lonely for me.
They have
we go.
plans to
I
like
agree with that.
evolve it to something like that because it's a nice polished game. If you want just something like NFTs, accessing a game that's nice and polished and smooth, Phantom Galaxies is doing that.
Oh, yeah,
However,
for sure.
it does not have any of that PvP or PvE experience that you really want
That's-
from a game, even to the
that's
degree
pretty
that
big.
Rev Racing has. Rev Racing
That's
has
pretty
more of a
big.
PvE, PvP environment to it than Phantom Galaxies
And
does.
you don't even see other players in Rev Racing.
Yeah, exactly.
You,
Like,
you just see their names.
yeah, we had the idea. I had the idea when I was doing it on Streamlabs that like people were like, oh, they should at least have like the ghost lap of like other cars. Like that wouldn't be hard to incorporate. I'm like, that would be genius. Put the ghost lap of the best car in there or something, or somebody close to you at least, like something. Genius.
Well, I think what we're seeing in blockchain is that it takes some time to develop these games to make them actually good.
But like
And
at the
you
same
never know,
time,
like in 10
go ahead.
years, in 10 years, Axie's Infinity, it might not look like what it does right now.
Oh,
No,
it could be.
I
fucking
suspect.
fun-ass game.
I think that in 10 years, Axie Infinity can be like a full blown like 3D world, just
Yeah.
like fucking
They
Grand
can-
Theft Auto or whatever. But when I see these, it's like there's like
We should make.
It's
a,
hard
we,
to
we need
compare
to
them
make a
all
list.
because-
Obviously we need to make a list.
we do, because it's actually
tier
hard to
list?
compare them all,
We
because
should.
how can I compare Phantom Galaxies with Splinterlands when you can't earn, and the only thing you have to do to play Phantom Galaxies is buy an NFT.
We gotta do some homework.
And
we
there's no
gotta try 'em.
crypto. There's no crypto in Phantom Galaxies. You don't earn more
I wouldn't
NFTs
have
or
it
the
up that
ability
high.
to
I don't
mint
know.
some.
I would like it would have to be like on a different like I would like I wouldn't want to rate it bad or something like that, but I also wouldn't put I don't know that I could put like
You just wouldn't put it
Splinterlands
above certain other
beneath it. Yeah,
things.
I'm just like yeah, because it's just missing too many things. Like do you get all the stars? You don't really get all the stars.
Now,
Again, to me, it
you
would be like
almost
somebody
have to
saying
have-
Star Atlas or something. Like, thank God I didn't see that on this list.
You
I
almost
lost my
have to
shit.
see, you almost have to see a different types of lists, because out of all these games, what is the most complete game that we like? If we did it by like playable and most complete,
Playable, most complete. I think Blankos is earning its spot in A.
and Blankos
and-
isn't necessarily complete though.
I mean, but
Like,
for
there's
what it's
still-
Well, then none of these games are complete.
I mean,
if
but
that's
you're,
what
you're saying
going by.
playable and most complete. Like
Yeah,
I don't think
suppose,
it's,
like,
I don't
the
think
most-
it is complete, but I think most
Right.
complete. And I would say the same
I
thing for
would
something like Gods
say
Unchained, where like
Blankos.
they just
Right.
recently
And
figured out how to
Splinterlands and Axie would have to be up there too.
Yes, exactly.
Because,
Splinterlands would have to be up there.
like,
Axie
something
would have to
like-
be up there.
And
Something
Big Time,
like Other
too.
Side,
Big
yeah.
Time,
Big Time?
is
Yeah, other side, Phantom Galaxies, Undead Blocks, Dead Drop, those should all get pushed down because they're not really they're not there yet. You know, they're
Yeah,
almost there.
they're really new. Like
They're
I'm
they're
surprised
very
they're
new,
there. Yeah, I'm like,
and so I'm
really?
seeing a huge transition in blockchain gaming where when me and Eric were breeding Axes,
Even
the
Illuvium.
yeah, so like when me and Eric were breeding Axes, the technology of blockchain gaming was in this like Super Nintendo era, and now it's, you know, it's really taken a leap forward.
Yo, if I'm being honest, when I got involved with Axie, that was more of a Pong thing because they literally only
It
had
was so whack
sushi
back
You're
then.
right.
races.
You're
They
was so
right.
literally
whack.
didn't
You're
have a
right.
game.
It
It
was
was
Pong.
literally
It was
sushi races, which is a secondary game.
it was so
Yeah.
whack that I would not buy it. I was like, bro, I missed out on the initial, and I'm just not gonna jump into this stuff. No, always like, cause like I remember like waiting, and then they're like, and here's what we have, and I was like, this is some auto roller type. No,
Uh-huh.
nah,
Right.
I
Yeah,
am not
I
doing
had
that.
no interest in playing the actual game. Like just the breeding interested me.
But yeah, that's why, and that's why I feel like what Bitfiend said before could be that much more true. Where like the older games that people might be writing off right now, the Axies, honestly, Alien Worlds. I don't think Alien Worlds going to do what Axie does. The like Tayton, sorry, you can stay down there and wrecked. The Spider Tanks, honestly, to a degree, potentially. The Splinterlands, but like, yeah, if I was going to bet on like a few of these games, if I was going to bet a few of these that are currently low ranked, that will make it all the way to S tier potentially.
I
From
could
all of
agree
these.
that Thaden Arena is
Splinterlands?
underwrecked.
Yeah, Thaden Arena should be under wreck because it was made in the wrong type of way. Like Spider Tanks is basically the exact same thing as Thaden Arena, but it deserves the C tier because of the way that it was constructed. But could be S tier in 10 years from now. Splinterlands, Axie Infinity, you know, the A list that they have up there could be, but they honestly, majority of them, all these except for Blancos and maybe Big Time,
Those
should not
games,
even
so I
be in
gotta-
the A list. Time.
I think that there could be a case could be made for Guild of Guardians. That game looks good, and they're in beta too. They're just not as far along as Blancos and as Big Time, but they've been around for a while.
See,
Um,
but we need that stress test because, like, and that again, that's the only reason why I put those other ones at, like, in the level that I said for Axie and Splinterlands, because they have been around. They have done that whole test of time. They have had the big player bases and players fall off, and they have, you know, they've created in such a way that they're still around and they're still playable and they still serve their purpose regardless. So that's what I was kind of thinking. But yeah, I think we definitely need to make our own list and do that on stream. So maybe we'll do that next time, or after the time after next time. Maybe we'll use next time to like build up some time to actually play these games.
I'm
but
definitely gonna watch the video, and I'm definitely gonna kind of do like a base level or like check out the games that they talk about that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, and if you're watching, I suggested that you do that because some pretty fun games on that list. You know, I don't want to hit on the list or anything like that. I think the far left on B is Aurora, which is also not out. Like some of these games, you guys just want to see certain things. But whatever.
Is the S tier? You said that was the one by
Dead Drop, Doctor Disrespect.
So is that a FPS?
It's not out, is what it is.
Is it's going to be an FPS though?
it's in beta, dude. So I mean,
I think so. I think it's an FPS.
To me, with these
Is it
games,
supposed to compete with COD? Is that the idea?
Or his last FPS game, which was what's the FPS game that Doctor?
Isn't this the one made? Yeah.
Dude,
It's like a free one. Rogue Company, like
a community of FPS lovers could totally build a better game than COD. 100%.
I'm like,
100
but look,
100%.
There's
but you
already
just gotta
FPS
give
games
them
on
like
this list.
the
There's
bricks.
already Forge on this list. There's already Eve.io on this list. There's already FPS games on this list too, though.
Listen, I like COD. I just don't like supporting Activision, or just like that system. The same with Madden anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
you're
So
just giving me the same game.
that's the problem we have with games now is that they're recycling and they're not making full games now, and that's not on blockchain. Like that's just the regular ass AAA games that we're getting are kind of shit now.
Can
like
overpromise and underdeliver too. You know?
Oh yeah, no for sure. But what I'm saying is these games like the S tier and the A tier games are games that are actually having to be developed by teams, and even some of these, a lot of these games on here are a lot of their developers came from AAA companies.
Yeah.
So the quality of games that we're getting is going up, which is good.
Oh yeah.
But it's just it's still taking time. Like, we're not at the end of the race yet.
Oh hell no!
God no.
I mean,
Like,
we're
we're
never
let's just
enough
put
of
it
a
this way: think about all the games that are out there, and look at this little tiny list.
Yeah, there's so
You
many
know,
games out there.
what's gonna happen when there's hundreds or thousands of blockchain games out there that people like?
Yeah, that are good. That are
That
fun.
are good. Yep.
That are fun to somebody. Because like
What's
again,
gonna
not everybody
happen
likes
when
card games.
when a blockchain game, you can download it on the PlayStation, and when you go to log in, your MetaMask on your phone pops up. You scan the QR code, and you play a PlayStation game.
There's a blockchain game that actually
using
just ported to
Web3.
PlayStation. I forget what it's called though. I forget the name.
So
I
yeah,
did see that recently.
it's already happening.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's good.
yeah. I was like,
Like, it's
yeah.
crazy. Like, I say all these different ideas,
You're
and
like, this
half
sounds
the time
futuristic.
it's already
It's
happening.
like it's actually happening, which means
Well, that's
like,
why I say, like, Bitcoin is the future, and the future is now.
yeah. I think that's gonna be a good note for us to wrap it on tonight, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Trustless Degens. We'll be back at this time and next week for another episode. If you feel so inclined to join our community, join the Money Match Gaming Discord channel, and jump in crypto and NFT section. Drop some suggestions throughout the week for different topics you think we should maybe discuss, or do so on Twitter. Find us on Twitter. You can find Eric Wilson on Twitter underneath just that name, Eric Wilson. Trustless Degens underneath that name, Trustless Degens, or Money Match Gaming under that. We also have Bitfiend. I think yours is just Bitfiend as well, right?
It's Bitfiend with 2 D's at the end.
You got like a duck or something like
Bitfiend.eth.
that. What is your profile picture? I don't know
What?
why I'm envisioning like a duck. What's your profile picture on Twitter? So we can.
It should just be my Bitcoin logo.
Oh,
Bitfiend
oh, it
logo.
is. Okay, I don't know why I was thinking of duck or something like that. I'm thinking of a different color.
Bitfiend.eth.
Yeah,
is the best way to find me.
orange Bitcoin logo in there. Yeah, so you can find Bitfiend under that, and then Rex Satoshi's is it should have all these. I think it's just Rex Satoshi. Yeah, that symbol, Rex Satoshi, on Twitter as well. So yeah, again, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a good one. Check out the YouTube throughout the week if you want to see individual clips, and see you guys next time.